this grammar is really the culmination of a long time working together, trying to find new ways to help students acquire the language in a way that is gets them into using the language and not simply studying the grammar of Hebrew. So this began back when we were working as TAs actually at UW, and it's morphed a number of times along the way, but one of the underlying principles is really this second language acquisition techniques for utilizing language.
The challenge we faced was finding a way to keep students interested in Biblical Hebrew. So we wanted to package our linguistic research using techniques borrowed from modern language teaching, but then modified for the clear differences that we face, the new challenges with teaching an ancient language. And so one of the things that we developed along the way was an operating principle we call philological realism. We want to use as much as we can from second language acquisition, kind of an immersion context, where students are using as much Hebrew as possible, and we give them discrete units of grammar that they use, they practice, they recognize in modified biblical text using our illustrations, so there's a heavy visual component, and then they creatively produce new Hebrew. So it's grappling with the realities of ancient language learning, but also the features of how people learn languages.
Yeah, I think that the illustrations are an exciting aspect to that, and it's something that came in a little later in the process of developing this grammar. But the second language acquisition approach tries to get past that middleman of translation and get straight to the language. And so things like using icons for as much vocabulary as we can rather than an English gloss of that vocabulary really gets the students directly into the Hebrew language so that they get a familiarity with what the words mean rather than how best to translate them.
And frankly, using illustrations, and we also teach using songs and other sorts of exciting exercises in class, it keeps students interested longer. So in a sense, we're getting them to learn the same amount of Hebrew with greater competency in the same period of time and keeping them in class. And that was one of these critical issues that was driving this textbook as it morphed over the dozen years that we were producing it and having people use it and give us feedback in various classroom settings.